Hey y'all, it's y'all favorite cozy girl, Chi the Reality Queen, and I am back again with another episode of Robe Chronicles. Tonight, we are going to be talking about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, season 4, the finale, the much anticipated finale. Like, I know everybody got on live right away, I know everybody has been tweeting, but I wanted it to digest a little bit. I mean, I had my tweets, I had my talking, but I wanted to really think about the episode before I decided to come on here and make this recap and talk about this episode and this entire season, basically. Um, and man, I have thoughts. Okay. So this episode starts off with Heather giving like a monologue talking about one of the girls among them being a traitor. At this time, we're supposed to not know who it is, right? And then it rewinds to 8 hours earlier, and the girls are just waking up, they're starting their day. It looks like Whitney and Monica might have like knocked out in the same bed, maybe chit-chatting or what have you. But it's a little weird because they wake up and Monica is like in a full face of makeup, like glam glam. Not Monica, Whitney is, but Monica is like barefaced, babe. And that's what I'm gonna say. Like, I hate to say this. I know a lot of people have a lot of grievances against Monica, but she is a beautiful girl. She is barefaced, full glam, very pretty, very it girl, very it girl. But yeah, so and Whitney and Monica are talking about the Heather situation of the previous episode because, as we know, she yelled out to Heather about exploiting her vagina. And Whitney was like, I was just so disappointed because every time I went to go talk to her, she was like avoiding me and she didn't want to talk to me. Um, which I feel like is Heather's MO. Like when she gets confronted, it's like, I can't talk about it. But like if she's confronting someone, she wants them to be like head up and ready to go. I feel like Heather many a times has deflected her own drama. And I'm not saying that, you know, she has to agree that it happened the way that they said it did or whatever. But I've noticed that she won't even discuss it. Like, that's stupid. I'm not discussing that. But everybody else got to stand 10 toes on whatever it is that they did when Heather approaches them and they got to, speak up. Then Monica tells Whitney, like, oh, but when I was looking for you and when I asked Lisa about where you were, she was like, oh, she's probably somewhere being dramatic. And Whitney is hurt by this because she's like, okay, Lisa is the most dramatic B word around, and she calling me dramatic. But the truth is, Whitney, you are also dramatic. I think you're all dramatic. And that's why you're casted on this show for your drama. So it shouldn't be a shock when someone calls you dramatic. But I guess, whatever. Um, Anyways, Whitney goes and then she goes to talk to Heather and like she's like, "Oh, Heather, we need to talk." And, of course Heather in her sober mind is like, "Yeah, we do," and whatever. Um and she just said she didn't like how things happened and, she wasn't like she was upset about certain things that she put in the book. Heather's like, "Girl, we agreed on it. We discussed it." And I guess she's like, "I never saw it after its final edit." Again, what's true, what's not true, we don't know. All of that was off camera, just so who really knows? But it's in the book and you didn't sue her, so it's not really that bad, right? um, and then they go to ride their mopeds, which actually looked really fun, but apparently Meredith has not driven in years. I wonder why that is. Like, I'm genuinely concerned why Meredith doesn't drive. Like, is she afraid of driving? Did something happen? Does she not have a license? I think these are questions that actually need answers, right? But anyway, she's getting on this moped. Monica gets on the moped, almost crashes like that's me because I once rode an ATV and I crashed. I didn't almost crash, I crashed. It was traumatic. I luckily did not have to go to a hospital in a foreign country. I toughed it out. My whole leg, outer and inner, were bruised. So yeah, although the moped looks fun, I probably wouldn't do it because I'm accident prone. Um, Anyways, so when they get to where they're going, they go to like some perfume or jewelry shop or something. They ride the mopeds there, and Angie and Heather forget their wallet. And Monica's like, "Oh, that's fine. I'll pay. I have money, you guys." Do you though? Do you have money? Anyways, that's what she says. And she goes and she puts in her card, and it's a green card, and the card gets declined. And it's so funny because you see Heather just staring and she's watching the situation like, did this girl's card just get declined? Like, what the hell? And then Monica goes and she's like, oh, I just have to turn on international travel. And that is a thing. Trust me, I've had it happen to me. It's always a little embarrassing. Um, I've noticed I don't have to do it if I use the same card that I purchased the trip on. I think maybe the bank just assumes. But if I use a different card that I did not use to purchase my flight or anything, then I've had the issue where they've been like, baby, where are you and why are you charging this card in Peru? Like, you know? But if I use a card that I purchased a flight on, then it doesn't happen. But what actually happens is she gives a new card. So maybe she didn't have money on the card that she gave or was overdrawn or whatever, but girl, don't be offering to pay if you broke cuz you don't gain anything. I mean, Lisa has lots of money. Meredith, Whitney, they all have lots of money. Like let somebody get somebody else to do it, right? Cuz you shouldn't be embarrassing yourself like that. But anyway, um now they get back and the thing comes up and says an hour later. Heather gets a call. She starts freaking out because Heather is incredibly dramatic and she's an actress. Okay. And the reason why I say this is because she gets a call and they move to dinner, right? Because they want to keep us on edge. So she gets the call, she's freaking out, production is trying to get in the room, she's whatever, and then the scene moves to them being at dinner. They're sitting at the dinner table and they talk about let's play this game where you share a truth and ask a mystery. I don't know. It was a stupid game. But anyways, we know on this show when they play games, trouble happens. So the fact that they're even starting to play a game lets me know, okay, things are about to get good. So they start the game and Whitney asks Lisa about her calling her dramatic because of course Whitney's going to do that because she's dramatic, right? And Lisa stands behind it. She's like, yeah, I did call you dramatic because you were being dramatic. Simple as pie, right? Um, and then Meredith calls out Heather for not supporting her this whole trip. Like, she's like, when I was being attacked, you didn't support me. And Heather was like, well, Monica provided some pretty good evidence and she sounded believable and what have you. And she's like, and I don't know why we believed Monica. Why did we believe you, Monica? And Monica's like, because I had proof, receipts, DMs, whatever. And that was like her response for why they believed her. So then Heather is like, I don't know who she got, but she was like, I don't have a question for that person. I have a question for Monica. And here comes the drama. Like, this is really like the most dramatic introduction to anything ever. She's like, and my question is, who is the real Monica? Okay. So then she says, like, you know, I met you. We bonded over being single moms of daughters, this and that. We've had a lot of fun. I saw you as an open book, a truth teller. And she's like, but the real Monica is someone that doesn't want to be our friend, but profit from our lives, that lives for our pain, and that she knows who she really is. And the real Monica is. And then they cut back again. And Heather is on the beach, and she had called or texted all the OG housewives to come meet her on the beach. And she's standing there, winds blowing, hair's flapping. They holding themselves tight because it's cold. And she's like, each one comes in and she's like, I have to wait for all of you to get here. Lisa comes in, she goes, I have to wait for Meredith. Then Meredith comes in and they were like, we are amongst enemies. And, she gives another monologue of whatever. And she said Monica isn't who she says she is. And it's this long, dramatic speech to expose that Monica is reality Von Teese. See, that wasn't shocking to me, right? Because who's reality Von Teese? I've never heard of the page. I made a poll on Twitter. 70% of people that responded to my poll had never heard of the page. Why are we losing our minds, right? Why is this so dramatic? Why is this such a big deal? But okay, let's continue. So everybody starts panicking. Whitney, Meredith, Lisa, they're like, oh my God. But let me say this. Whitney didn't look as shocked as you would think she should have looked. Think about that. Whitney didn't look as shocked as the rest of them did. Maybe they had to run the scene a couple times. Maybe they wanted to get everybody's face. I don't know. Editing does things. But I will note that she didn't look that shocked. Anyway, so the page Reality Von Teese was created to take down Jen Shah. That's my girl, free Jen Shah till it's backwards. And but apparently the page also disparaged all the women, and had things, and they showed clips. Now I think they showed clips of stuff that the page said. I don't know if it's inclusive of all the bad things. However, if they posted the worst of the worst, it wasn't that bad, right? Like, I don't know. Quoting Jen Shah, calling Heather a tranny, I think is what it was. I think they blurred it out. Excuse me if that's offensive to say. But that wasn't Reality Von Teese. They weren't calling you that. They said Jen Shah said it. Jen Shah has said a lot of things about Heather that are actually pretty nasty. And if that was my friend, I wouldn't deal with them. But everybody has different relationships with the people in their lives. So who am I to judge? But, it just based on the stuff. And then I think they called Whitney a swinger. I didn't see anything in there. They didn't pull any clips about them talking about Meredith. They didn't pull any clips of them talking about Lisa. So I'm a little concerned, right? Like, if that page was so nasty and so bad and had all this stuff, where's the evidence? I'm still waiting for that, right? Like, okay, the page said a lot of stuff about Jen Shah, and I think that's terrible. But none of you guys are named Jen Shah. Jen Shah is currently spending time in prison for a crime. I think creating a page to expose a criminal, there's worse things people can do. But they were acting like clutching pearls, and they were like, Heather basically assembled the Avengers so they can back her when she brings it up at dinner. And she tells the story of how she came to this. So before they left for the trip, hear that. Before they left for the trip, Heather went to get Monica a gift card to Beauty Lab. When she went to get that gift card, she found that there were three Monicas with the same birthday, different last names, and one of them hadn't paid their bill. Okay, so you're already on to the girl. So she decided at that moment that she was going to call her hairdresser, who she had in common with Monica, because they were like best friends. Now, sis, your hairdresser is best friends with Monica. You see how I'm slowing down? Because I want y'all to really get this. Your best friend is close with Monica, and you haven't asked her about that girl before this moment? Red flag number one. I don't believe it. That's just not true. But we move. So then she asked her hairdresser about Monica, and she said she had a crisis of conscience and she just came clean and just revealed everything about this reality Von Teese. But Heather wanted more evidence despite everything that this girl sent. So she reached out to her friends at Bleep, which they bleeped it out, and they told her. Now, I'm really curious as to who they bleeped out. Did they bleep out FBI, CIA, police, someone who can run background, someone in cybersecurity, right? Something like that. Because it was her friends at. So she named an entity. She didn't name a person based on the way the word was bleeped. She named an entity. So I'm curious to know what entity that was and what friend she knows there. And that person called her to confirm, and she was freaking out. Now, why are you freaking out when someone calls you to confirm when your hairdresser had already sent you text upon text upon voice notes upon voice notes upon text upon pictures upon all this stuff? When they showed it, it was a lot of stuff. But now you're over dramatizing your response to getting a confirmation call. Red flag number two. Right? I mean, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not saying that you can't be angry. I'm not saying that you can't be all these things. I think Heather's emotions are correct, but how when they're being expressed is the problem, right? You're holding on to it because you want to make a scene. You want to have a moment. That's what you're trying to do here. And I don't know. I'm a little off put by it, right? So then um Meredith is losing her shit basically because that's who she is. She's dramatic. It's like they have all these stills and clips of her with her hair whipped in her face and she's like panicking, and it's not funny, but just a little funny. And then they go back, they fast forward back to the dinner table, and she says, "You are cyberbully and troll reality Von Teese." And Monica is like, "Prove it." Like, girl, they have the evidence. They're not coming to you saying that. If it's not, what do you mean prove it? She's like, "I have this, I have that." She's like, "Show it then." Because I was waiting for you at the door. All I have to say is I respect Monica's extreme poise under the situation. I'm not saying that she's right. See, here's where a lot of people are getting it wrong. She's not right, but she's also not as wrong as they claim, right? So she was saying that what they're saying is not entirely true. That, you know, there's more to the story, which I believe. I mean, nothing is ever so black and white, so cut and dry. We know that, right? And they said, now this was actually the biggest thing that shocked me, was they said Monica infiltrated Jen's life to become her assistant, to work with her, to take her down. Now, if that's true, that's the more shocking piece of information, that you messaged Jen on social media to become her assistant. Of all the things that were mentioned on this episode, that I think took me by the most surprise. If that's true, if she went through those lengths to meet Jen Shaw, to work for Jen Shaw, and then did this, I think that's the most shocking. I'm sorry, that's the most shocking thing, because how did we even get there? What made you want to do that? What led you to that path, right? I need those answers. Um, then she got called out for being in Meredith's store when someone stole something when she was with Jen. And then they flash back to her telling Meredith, "Oh, I've never been here before." Girl, Salt Lake City might not be that big. You didn't have to lie. You could have been like, "Oh, it's been so long since I've been here. It looks different." But to say you've never been here before, but you have with Jen, everybody knows you was Jen's assistant at one point. Why couldn't you just admit that? They knew that about you. That's how some of them knew you. Very strange. I mean, obviously, Monica is a liar of sorts. She's not a complete liar, but she does lie. Okay. Most people lie. We also have to admit that. Um, then she claims that multiple people ran that account, with Tanisha being the one that started it. Hmm. Hmm. Why does that sound more believable to me? Where does Reality Von Teese get her tea about other people, if not from the hairdresser of one of the housewives? As a girly who goes to a hairdresser, we all know that that relationship between client and hairdresser is sacred. We gossip, we chit chat, we talk, we spill tea. We tell things to the hairdresser that you may not tell other people. Now, where would Monica get that information? I'm just saying that girl, Tanisha, could say a lot of things, but I need to know why they would think that Monica would be able to get information more than some girl who sits with Heather 2 to 3 hours while she gets her hair done because she's doing it. I don't know. Tanisha, are you still cool with Heather? Heather, are you still cool with Tanisha? Because to me, it just doesn't make sense. So then they're asking her, well, what did you do? What part were you involved in? And Heather's like, that's a fair question, because you're saying, whatever. And she said her part was the Jen takedown. She recorded video of Jen and she posted it. Now that makes sense. She was her assistant. She was very close proximity to her. That's the evidence that she has. Where would she get evidence about Meredith, Lisa, Whitney, and Heather, if not for someone else that's close to one of those women, which she was not? And also, we know Jen sometimes talks too much. So maybe Jen was talking about her friends, quote unquote friends. But then Angie, who we haven't seen all episode, decides to start yip yapping at the mouth. Now, girl, I know you want to have a moment, but this is not your time. She could have stayed quiet in that episode. If that was me, if I was Angie, I'd have been sitting there like, and that would have been my only contribution, because that ain't my business. That's drama. But she starts getting into it, and Monica was like, now don't you start. because you have involvement with reality Bontees. I was gagged. Ma'am, what? Angie K? Now she's like, she goes, just me laughing at the tweets and DMs and this and that. That's involvement. That's acknowledging it, recognizing it, interacting with it. I'm not saying that maybe you did anything bad laughing, but if you were laughing at the jokes about people like Heather or Meredith or Lisa or Whitney, that matters, right? Since they feel like their characters were being assassinated on that page that no one knew about or 5,000 people knew about. I just I just don't understand Angie's point. She picks up a flower bed. She acting like she finna throw it. Monica was like, girl, don't you start. Now, Monica, you're very calm. Because I feel like there's a couple of shows where drinks would have been thrown, hair would have been pulled, wigs would have been snatched. So the fact that they were able to actually have that argument literally from like across the table, pretty proud of those women. They stayed pretty calm, you know? And in her little confessional, Monica's like, I still don't think having the page is a bad thing. I think scamming people out of their funds is a bad thing. She's right. I mean, I love Jen Shaw, but she committed a felony. Like, you can't tell me what Monica did with this fake page is worse than committing a felony. I don't know. Like, it's not, I don't think it's even close. Like, they're trying to make it seem like this is close, you know? But what Heather says, she stands up and she's like, what you don't understand is we're all friends here. I'm actually curious to know how long Heather practiced that speech. I'm very curious. Honestly, it seemed very well rehearsed. It seemed practiced. It seemed like she was in her room every night building herself up to give that speech that last night. Like it was, theater. Good theater, great theater, amazing theater, but theater nonetheless, right? Um, she was like, we're all friends, we've all been through the BS, but the thing is Jen was with us, she was on our side going through it, so that's what kept us together. And she has lied, but she doesn't like the behavior of Jen, and she felt that Monica was starting to emulate some of the behaviors that she really didn't like about Jen, but she had already lied and defended Jen for so long, even though Jen was the one that gave her the black eye, supposedly. Now, I'm not saying Jen didn't give her the black eye. I'm actually pretty sold on that fact. However, to play devil's advocate, you sat up there for almost a year's time and couldn't tell anybody what happened to your eye. I don't know. I don't know. There's no camera, there's no footage. There's footage even into the wee hours, but there's no footage. How did she give you the black eye? Because the way she said it is Jen gave me the black eye. Okay. Did she punch you in the face or did she open a door and your ass was standing on the other side? I think it's very convenient that she didn't explain to us how that black eye was given. Although I do see in a little clip from the reunion that, Andy does ask her, because I think to me, it's very convenient to talk about someone who cannot defend themselves. Jen Shaw's in prison, bro. Like putting stuff on someone who's already in prison is so lame. And this is where I fault Heather. Like, girl, when she was out, when she was getting ready to go, I don't care if you kicking a dog when it's down. She committed the crime. She knows she got to do the time. And you're over here defending her, and not just defending her, because defending her is one thing, that's your friend, but you lying for her. And again, lying for her, you got to lie for her forever because it's not something, apparently you're not pressing charges. It's not a big deal. Why wait one whole year to incorporate it into this long dramatic speech? which almost makes me believe she knew about this reality Von Teese thing for a long time, because it's almost like that will be the culmination of this speech. This is where we will bring everything to a close and we will have justice. Like, it's lame to me. I'm sorry. Heather, I think you did really well this season. I do. I even think this whole bit with reality Von Teese and Monica and all of that was good. But I think that punch in or black eye bit was a little over the top. But what I really, really loved about that is Monica's response was, good. You're finally telling the truth for once. Like, Gaggington, what? How are you? Everything they said, and you talking about you're finally telling the truth for once. Like, Monica is a gem of a character. So they told her to pack her bags and leave and this and that. In between, she cussed out Lisa. Lisa started to get a little rowdy. She cussed her out clean. She called her old, leathery face, Trump fan or Trump hand. I don't know. She went in on Lisa. And I was like, oh, Lisa. Like, damn, you went hard on her. And it's funny because Lisa was trying to make all these comments on Twitter like, you want to be Gossip Girl, but your fingers are covered in Cheeto dust and whatever. And I'm sorry. I know she has fans, and I know y'all fans think that was clever. It wasn't. She's not clever. She doesn't read people. She's an old lady who don't read people. And that's okay, right? Everybody has the character that they are and the character that they play. Her character is not the reader. She's not at the reading room at BravoCon. She's not a reader. Telling people that they want to be Gossip Girls, but they got Cheetos on their finger, Cheeto dust on their fingers, is silly. It's silly. That's just it. Um, so in Monica's confessional, she says, I knew the information was going to come out. It was just a matter of when and how, and I get it. Um, she also says, oh, then they cut back to the girls because Monica just gets up and leaves, which I also am kind of proud of, right? Like I said, she could have gotten to busting heads. Like, yes, she was in the wrong, but people get defensive and act crazy. So I really appreciated her spirit. Um, but she got up and she just walked away, very calm, very, very, very calm. And the other girls, like Heather, just starts crying. And baby girl, I'm not buying it. It was such bad acting. She covers her face to cry. Whitney's on her side, rubbing her shoulder. Like, there was not a single tear coming from that eye. She should have just played angry. The tears were not giving. The anger, yes, I get it. You're mad. The tears, they weren't believable. The fact that you had to cover your face lets me know you weren't crying. That's a good tactic, right? To make it seem like you're crying. So you cover your entire face so no one could see that you're actually not crying. Yeah. And yeah, again, bravo, Heather. Great scene. But overall, I think that it was way too dramatic. Her parts. But the overall idea of being exposed as an internet troll is kind of iconic. The way the producers played it, the way they went 8 hours forward, 8 hours back, 1 hour late, all that, perfect, excellent, great TV. And then it ends with them coming in on Monica. They kind of say where everybody's is. And they come in on Monica, and she's like, there's so much more to come out, but I knew at that moment they wouldn't listen to me. So I couldn't get through to them. I couldn't talk to them. But it'll come out because what's done in the dark always comes to light. I'm ready. I'm ready for the reunion, y'all. I'm ready for the reunion. I cannot imagine what is to come. I pray that they bring Monica back because when I think back on the scenes that did not have Monica this season, they were very lackluster. They weren't great. They weren't very entertaining. Not saying they were bad. They just had no zhuzh, right? I like the cast as is. I know a lot of people like Angie, and I actually have no problem with Angie. I just don't think she brought enough. I feel like she wants to be there and she wants to have mess and drama, obviously, but she doesn't want to commit to it. And that's where I have the problem. Meredith, are we going to have a problem? Do we have a problem? Like, it's very much, okay, whew, I got to be bad at Meredith and action. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't feel it from her. And I feel like if they're going to bring her back, I need Angie to have some passion. I don't know if Greek people have passion. I feel like they do. And she needs to bring some of that passion into who she is on the show. I just feel like right now, she's very one dimensional. Everything seems like she says, all right, let's go. Like it's not natural. Meredith, she did her job. She was good this season. Loved her. Lisa, we know who she is and we like her for that. She did her job. Whitney's going to have to step it up. I don't think she continues. She needs a snowflake. I don't think so. She's like a wannabe Ashley Darby, but she doesn't fulfill her role in the way that she should. I think she's going to have to step it up. Heather did really, really well this season. I think towards the end, this thing was like a perfect culmination of her season. I just think that she needs to lay off the theatrics. Be you, be angry, do what you have to do, but don't overdo it. That's where I'm at with Heather. Excellent. She did great this season. Monica, that's my girl. I like her. I'm sorry. Reality Von Teese, not reality Von Teese, drama, not drama. I don't care. I like her. Bring her back. Rich, poor, somebody pay her so that girl have a little bit more money. But I mean, something so she can come back. I don't want her card declining, but I want her back. I think without her, they don't really have too much, so they need to bring her back. Mary, I think we can do without her. But if she's an ally to Monica, then I'm in. Maybe, I don't know, maybe swap Whitney for an ally for Monica. I don't know. But something has to happen with this cast because they can't all just come back against one person, right? She needs allies, but without her, the show has nothing. They don't have an antagonist without her. They like, at the end of the day, it's still television, it's still TV. Something has to happen. So, I mean, we'll see. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think I was too harsh on Heather? Do you guys think that her level of drama was correct? I mean, I'm just so curious. I've heard so many theories and thoughts, and I just like to also see them in the comments. So please like, comment, share, subscribe. Heavy on the subscribe. And I will be back for a reunion part 1. See you guys next time. Bye.